Good afternoon and welcome to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. Nathan Zagura, Bo Bishop will be joining us momentarily here as the Browns begin their preparations to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars down in Jacksonville in a big Week 2 matchup. Two teams with playoff aspirations, both coming in at 0-1. Our hot topics of the day presented by University Hospitals, the official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. We've got a ton of roster moves. The Browns sending 4 players to injured reserve today. Linebackers Mahmoud Diabate and Tony Fields. Defensive tackle Mo Hurst. And then this is a big one, Juan Thornhill with a calf injury. And remember, it was a calf injury that plagued Juan Thornhill all throughout the last season. Gibbe, did Coach Stefanski, and I know we're going to play that shortly, did he say if it was the same calf?
He believes it is.
Okay, and this was something that lingered.
He didn't have the Bo Bishop confidence.
Got it.
So I'm not quite sure.
So that's a big one. Juan Thornhill looked great in the season opener, flew around, led the team with 9 tackles, had a tackle for a loss, was really played one of his best games since joining the Cleveland Browns, and I think due in large part to the fact that he was healthy. And so that's a big loss there on the back end. Now, none of these guys are expected to be done for the season, but they are out the next 4 games at a minimum. The Browns have signed David Bell, wide receiver, Mike Ford, cornerback, Kaliki Hudson, linebacker, and Sam Kamara, defensive tackle, all to the active roster. They have added Siaki Ika back to the practice squad, Jeff Swaim, the tight end, to the practice squad, and Louis Villain to the practice squad as well. Coach also saying that David Njoku will not play this week with his ankle injury, and that Jed Wills and Jack Conklin both will be out at practice today, which is very, very good news as the Browns are hopeful to get their left tackles back onto the field. And now, as you see on the screen, very happy to be joined by Suns Out, Guns Out, Greg Newsome, the Browns cornerback. I think you're good. You got to press. Does he got to click it? Yep, there you go. Bow. Boom. Boom. There you are.
Oh, yep.
Greg Newsome with us in studio, coming off of a career-high 2 interceptions, 14 passes defensed last year. Had a pass breakup in the opener. Now, Greg, that one didn't go the way we wanted to as a team. Kind of just take me through kind of, number one, how everybody kind of has responded to that as you've seen it. Like, what's going on in the locker room coming out of that game, knowing it's the NFL, week-to-week league. You got another opportunity this Sunday.
Yeah, I think we got a great, group of guys, a lot of veterans out here. So we know that, it obviously didn't go, the way we wanted. We learned from it, and now we're moving on to Jacksonville. What's
kind of Coach Schwartz's assessment of what you guys were able to do in that game against Dallas? Because, they did have a couple of touchdown drives, but short fields held them to field goals, 4 of 14 on third down, 29%, exactly what you guys did last year on third down. And it felt like kind of as you started off hot, and then really as the game went on, you guys kind of really settled in and played the kind of defense we're accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, he just talked to us. We let a few plays, go away. We weren't going to focus on those. We're going to correct those, and then we're going to look at the positives that we did, like the third down. Did a great job, getting them off the field, and then those short fields, keeping them in the field goal. So there were some positives. There was definitely some negatives, some communication issues. But he thought, in that second half, I think we really settled in, like you said, and started playing our brand of football.
Yeah, they went after you a couple times on third down, and you were right there on CeeDee Lamb. That had to feel good.
Oh man, super excited. I didn't get a lot of practice before the first game, so it was great to just get back out there, play with the guys, and just play in front of that crowd.
How did the hamstring feel, or is it to the point where you're not even thinking about it anymore?
Yeah, it felt amazing. I'm not thinking about it. I told everybody, man, I could have probably been back 2 weeks earlier before I felt like it. But definitely just, a little sore. But, I felt 100% out there.
It had to be good to get back out there playing football.
Yeah, it sucks, especially missing the whole entire camp.
Sure.
It was definitely
We missed
hard,
you at the Greenbrier, dude.
Yeah, I know. I missed it. Being around the guys. I was just by myself.
Course.
So, yeah, I definitely missed it.
Yeah, we missed you. We missed you as well. You mentioned the communication issues, and obviously we know the touchdown of Brandon Cooks. There was a communication breakdown there. It's got to be hard when you guys have not gotten a lot of reps together. And I know you've played next to MJ and you've played with Juan before, but when you guys are all out there and it's loud and it's a kind of a very quick thing, that's a tough situation. That's something probably as the season goes on that'll get hopefully ironed out.
Yeah, definitely. Like all 11 guys, we all haven't been on the field. That was our first time with all of us out there. And then, as the first game goes, you're still working your way into shape. So a lot of that stuff is just, tired. We just all got to be on the same page while we're tired.
Yeah, and certainly that'll come. All right, as we turn our attention to Jacksonville, this is a team that's got some good wide receivers as well. Gabe Davis can get down the field. The rookie Brian Thomas had a touchdown last week. He's impressive. Also another big guy, 6'2", and then Christian Kirk's kind of their 1,000-yard guy out of the slot, a vertical slot receiver. And they got Trevor Lawrence. Now, we played against them last year. You had a pick against them last year. How much from what you saw last year do you think carries over to this year, having that familiarity? And what have you seen from them? And I know it's only been one game, though, against Miami.
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence is a very elite quarterback. I'm looking at him to take that next step into being one of the most elite guys in the league, because he has everything: the body, the arm talent, the vision. So I think they definitely carried over. I think they had a pretty solid first game, honestly. But we're just gonna go out there and just try our best. Go out there, play physical, play together, and just try to make his job a little difficult out there.
Going back to that game last year, which was a huge Browns win at home, not only did you have the pick, you had a career-high 4 passes defensed in that game. What about that game helped you, and then does that give you a lot of confidence going into this one against the same opponent?
Yeah, I think what helped me is that D-line. They make our jobs, so much easier. Quarterbacks got to get the ball out quick, so we know we could be very physical at the line of scrimmage. So what helped me that game is just the D-line just playing amazing, and we look forward to them doing that again.
And you were able to be physical because you spent a lot of that game on the outside, if not the whole game on the outside. No Denzel in that one, you and MJ out there. How hard is it in the slot when you get a guy like CeeDee Lamb, and you're going to get it now with Christian Kirk? It's hard to get your hands on him from the slot. That's one of the reasons they put CeeDee Lamb there. He has two-way goes. He kind of gets a little bit more of a free release than he would out on the outside. So that makes your job obviously even harder. How do you kind of approach that from a mental standpoint, knowing that it's different than when you're outside and you can actually get up there and really get your hands on him?
Yeah, I just feel like you got to be patient. You got to trust your help, play to your leverage, and just make their job as difficult as you can. Like you said, man, the slot is very tough. They got the whole entire route tree, versus outside. You got a few routes that guys can run. But, I just feel like I just go out there, and I know MJ's going to do his job. I know Ward's going to do his job. So, the easy access is going to be the slot. So if I can deny, those easy throws and force them to beat me, then, that'll be challenging for the offense.
Juan played, I thought, very well in this game against Dallas, was flying around, 9 tackles, and it just felt like he was back. And then now we find out today he's going on injured reserve with that calf. Ronnie Hickman stepped in last year, played well. You also have Rodney McLeod, who can play in safety. But how much does that kind of change things going from Thornhill to somebody else? And just the fact that it felt like he was just getting going. I feel for him very much.
Yeah, definitely a tough break. I think Juan honestly played his best career game as a Brown.
Yes.
He's a leader, for us out there. But, we say it in the room all the time. We don't say, I'm the best, Ward's the best, MJ, Grant. No, we're the best. That's what we say, and we mean that from the top down. So whoever's in there to replace him is going to, hold that same standard. And, when he's able to return to play, he'll come back in, and we'll definitely miss him out there. But we like to say we're the best because we feel like all guys that are in our rooms can step in and do their job at an elite level.
Yeah, and you got Rodney, w's obviously been in the league for this is his 13th season.
13.
Yeah, his 13th and final. But for Ronnie to at least get those 4 starts last year at important times, I mean, that was the playoff push and then into the playoffs. Does that kind of help him in terms of, you see, today, I know you guys only had a walkthrough so far, but just kind of seeing the way he's seeing it in the communication and stuff like that, does it feel like that last year was very helpful for him? Yeah,
for sure. The best thing to, get comfortable with the game and the speed is to get reps. And he was, fortunate enough to get a lot of reps. So that'll definitely help him going into this season, into this game, just knowing where to be. He knows where we're going to be. We all played with each other for a minute. So that'll be good. Then you got a guy like D'Anthony Bell as well who got a lot of reps. So we're just super excited to, see him get out there and make some plays.
Going on the road is obviously very different than being at home. It's the first time on the road. Did you come to Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah, you came to
there.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Right. But didn't play.
Yeah.
It's different, right? What's different about it other than the energy of the crowd? But I'd imagine as a defense, the opportunity to silence a crowd has to be one of the most fun things that you can do.
Yeah, and that's our point of emphasis this year. I feel like at home, what we displayed, that last game against Dallas, that's what we do at home. We're an elite, one of the, greatest defenses to do it. But, on the road, we weren't so great. So we got to find a way to, generate our own energy because our crowd gives us so much energy. So on the road, our focal point is just getting our own energy, and silencing that crowd, like you said.
It's got to be something that was talked about because you guys were the number 1 scoring defense in the league at home, and you were the number 32 scoring defense in the league on the road. That is
a big difference. Yeah.
As wide a difference as there can possibly be. So, and I heard you kind of talk about the energy and stuff. Is this game kind of important to you guys to show, not only because we got to get a win, but to show that, okay, that was an anomaly of last year. This is who we are no matter where we're playing. Yeah,
for sure. We want to be that fierce elite defense everywhere we go. And put fear in the hearts of quarterbacks when they go against us. So this is definitely a good test for us to go out there and prove, doubters wrong, that we can do it on the road and at home. So we're definitely looking forward to the challenge.
It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I know that you are a very busy man. We appreciate you coming up here in studio with us. Love having you. And let's go. Let's get some more picks.
Yeah.
Some more PBUs. I'm sure you got another little thing going on with MJ. Maybe
we got some.
Okay.
His bag's en route.
It's really? It's been ordered.
Yeah, it's on the way.
How did we did you say here's a selection for you to look at, or did he say this is what I would like? How did we get to the bag?
Yeah,
itself?
so he liked the bag that Mike was rocking.
Okay.
So we chose that bag, and then I asked him what color he wanted in it. So I got it on the way.
Oh,
we will have another bet this season though.
All right,
we'll have another bet.
Good. Well, listen, that's what, sometimes you do that. You have to pay up, but then now you get another swing at the plate.
Get another opportunity.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, thanks for the time and best of luck on Sunday against the Jags.
All
right. We'll be back with more Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. You'll hear from head coach Kevin Stefanski. That's next, right here on 850 ESPN Cleveland. At the podium.
That's something that
You're down.
The NFL has to, do on their time, and I have to focus on what's in front of me right now.
So what do you do to get better from last Sunday to this Sunday?
You fix the mistakes. You have to overall. It's all of us. It's not just me. It's not just another player. We all got to be on the same page. A lot of self-inflicted penalties and mistakes that we had, just miscommunication within the route concepts, and just like that. So we just get it on the same page, and keep working. And that's all we can do is keep our, head and eyes focused on the plan that Kevin and Ken is trying to, present to us. And we got to execute that throughout the week so we know it. We can execute that on Sunday.
Does anybody regret not playing in the preseason?
No, that haven't crossed our minds, no.
On the Monday morning quarterback stuff, it looked like you had some time to make some plays on Sunday. When you went back and you looked at it, did you feel that way, that there was some stuff that you could have hit on? And I guess how do you, going forward here, Jacksonville and on into the season, how do you start making those plays again? Because we've seen you make those plays in the past.
Most definitely. You watch the tape. You see what's out there. You try to slow the game down as much as possible. And each and every week, the game kind of slows down because the more timing you get, the more reps you get at playing the game at a full speed. And you just kind of find those little things, the small things that you have to master before the big things can take care of itself. So, you hit it perfectly. It's just watch that tape on Monday. You figure out, okay, what I do wrong, what I didn't do wrong, what was my decision making. You grade yourself. You have to be very strict with yourself, and you have to really be honest. And if you can do that, then you're getting better, and you have to apply it this week. And that's the key, is starting today is just, we get out on the practice field throughout these meetings, is applying everything that you wanted to correct on Monday, from the previous game.
You said you're not worried about another potential suspension, but how important is it for you to remain on the field given that you haven't been able to play much the last 3 years?
It's very important. Availability is one of the biggest things. You got to be available for your teammates to be out there to go help win. So, again, I have to focus on what today brings, and today is Wednesday, and getting ready for these meetings and for this practice, and we'll have to see what happens.
Are you concerned about getting pulled away to have to go to New York to do another interview with Lisa Friel for this investigation?
It haven't crossed my mind. So at the time being, I'm just focusing on Jacksonville, and if that happens, then whatever I have to do with the Browns or my legal team, then that time will come. But right now, like I said, and my legal team spoke on is just focusing on football.
The attorney for the woman who filed the suit just released a statement saying that they came to your organization 10 months ago about a private settlement. Is that true? Because you just recently said that you became aware of these allegations in this suit on Monday.
I missed the last part you said.
You just recently said that you were aware of the allegations when the civil suit came out on Monday, and the attorney for the woman that filed the suit said that they came to you with a private settlement 10 months ago. Speak to that, or what do you
Yeah, I have no idea. I haven't heard anything. I haven't spoke with anybody, so I'm not sure. I'm not aware of that.
There's been a lot, obviously, the last couple of years, and you keep maintaining your innocence. I'm just wondering, why do you think the organization and the fans should believe you and trust you on that?
I can't speak for the fans. I can't speak for anybody outside this building. But I know that, hearing from the Haslams and AB and those guys, I know that they tell me each and every day that they, support me and they got my back, and that they want me to focus on being the best quarterback I can be, So that's all I can do, is just speak my truth, tell them the truth. They talked with my legal team and everyone that was a part of this whole process, and, they have to make their decision. And that decision was to, give me the opportunity to come be the quarterback to help this team win. You said what? I'm in the same boat as you, boss man.
Is it fair to say that this particular allegation was not made aware at the time you came to Cleveland?
I'm not sure. Like I mentioned before, I found out this allegation and this foul exactly when everyone else found out. Found out through media. saw it popped up on my phone, and then I called my attorneys and asked them what it was.
Is it possible that,
We're going to go back to keeping the focus on football.
if I can just, is it possible that Rusty just kind of did not inform you about this one because they didn't want to continue to have to do settlements? And so you wouldn't have known about it, but maybe your legal team did?
I'm not sure. That's a question for Rusty.
There's a quote from Doug Peterson, Jaguars coach, that he said it looked like the offense is trying to still get on the same page with you. Do you feel like that at all? You know, new offense, new guy, new pieces in the huddle. Do you feel like you guys are still trying to get on the same page?
Yeah, it's going to be a work in progress for sure. I think, new pieces, new guys, first live football together, it's going to take time. A lot of times if you haven't been with the guys for, multiple years, especially the core group of, skilled guys, then it's going to take a little bit to figure out, all right, what is everyone good at? What are we good at? What are the identity that we want to put out there on the field? And, it might take a couple weeks, and we might find our identity this week. I think each and every week is a great opportunity for us to, go out there and test ourselves against a very, very, very good opponent in Jacksonville in a great environment and, go out there and see what we can, put out there and try to get a W.
Process out there looks like in practice of trying to correct some of the issues on that offensive line to protect you and you guys working together. What do you hope that looks like as this week goes on in preparation for week 2?
Yeah, just being better. Just whatever that leads to. If that's quick game, drop back, chip slides, whatever the play call is, making sure we all on the same page and knowing how much time I have, to hold the ball. So just being able to get on the same page with one another and knowing where the ball needs to go at the right time. So if we all playing on the right time and the right, string, all 11 guys, then I think we can be very successful.
How did the shoulder hold up, and how'd you feel Monday morning after the adrenaline finally rolled?
Yeah, I was a little sore for sure. I think just overall soreness, but the shoulder was completely fine. I missed the first part.
How much of a player's standing, reputation in the locker room, you're captain, how much of that is based on what you do on the field versus off the field?
Can you explain exactly what you're asking, though?
What's the balance? Like, how much of your status in the locker room, ability, like leadership, how much of guys trusting you comes from what you do, during games versus what you do outside of games?
So you're saying like you're trying to I'm serious. I'm trying to figure out what are you asking, like the off the field stuff compared to on the field stuff, mixing together as far as.
You've been in a lot of locker rooms. How much of your teammates trust in you comes from what you do on the field versus off?
I mean, the trust has always been there. So I think the guys, they trust me. If there's anything that's out there, you can go ask any one of those guys and they'll give you an honest answer. So I can't speak for anybody else, but for what, the guys been showing me and what they tell me and shake my hand and come to my locker and on the field dab me up and say to my face, that's what they're saying, that they trust me. So.
To have a conversation with them when something pops up in the
No, because they know my character. They see me each and every day. They know exactly who I am. And I think that's the difference. When you around me each and every day, you know my aura, you know my energy, you know my character, I think you'll understand who I really am.
Dallas really brought the pressure on Sunday. Obviously, you felt it with the 17 times you got hit. Jacksonville, similar up front. They like to bring the heat. So how do you, after going through that experience Sunday, how do you get back to turning that into an advantage for you? That used to be such a big part of your game, where when teams came after you, you really made them pay. So how do you kind of get back to taking advantage of the pressure that they bring on you and turning those into the big plays?
I think the biggest thing, we got to be, successful on first down. We got to start off positive. We got to start the drive. We got to get a first down on the drive. If we got to create some type of success, early in the downs to, be able to open up the playbook and do what we exactly want to do. But like you said, Jacksonville has an elite front. Walker, Allen, those guys, Armstead, they like to bring the heat. They're very athletic. They're very tough, very fast, and they play super, super hard. And, we got to make sure that we're playing throughout the whistle and be able to execute down the field if I do break outside the pocket, or even if I'm sitting in the pocket. The receivers got to win their matchups, and that's the test that we got to make sure that we try to win on Sundays.
What's your challenge without David and Njoku?
Yeah, David's a big part of our offense. He's very versatile. He can do a lot of different things, but we have trust in Jordan Akins, and not sure exactly who we're going to bring up or what type of personnel grouping that we're going to have on Sunday, but whoever is available and that's active, I know those guys are going to be ready, and we got to roll with that.
Did you notice that there was a longer recovery period for you on Sunday compared to maybe other seasons coming back from the shoulder injury? Did it feel different?
As far as because it was a later game, is that what you're saying?
In terms of post game, what your normal weekly routine would be, coming off of a game, recovery period, treatment, whatever that is, headed into the next week. Did that seem longer, different than
no, ma'am. I think it's very similar. You have a little bit of a little bit more downtime, but it was, to me, kind of similar to what I've had since I've been in Cleveland, for sure.
How did you feel about the play calling? Not the plays that were called, but the fact that Kevin's calling the plays and Dorsey brought in some of the plays.
I mean, it wasn't no different or anything like that. We just got to execute the game plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson at the podium. When we come back, we're going to hear from Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. Bo and I will get you ready as we are on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio.
right, let's do it live. What'd I miss? Merely Bo, the great Z. Hey, I was listening. It was great. You had Newsome in studio.
Great
that
Newsome
was
in
great.
studio.
Having him in studio. I thought that was very, very good.
Heard that
you
press
were
conference.
incredibly professional out of the gates in the open too. I mean, it was hot topics of the day. It was let's get into the meat and potatoes.
Paying the bills, baby.
We got things that we got to do
well,
here.
because we didn't really know. Honestly, we didn't know what it was going to be in terms of how this was going to go.
This new media availability on
was
Wednesdays is not ideal in any way,
It's
shape,
great,
or
though,
form.
that we were able to get a guy on in studio. That's great.
That's great.
Correct.
And
shout out to Jordan in PR. She crushed it.
Good job at her. And it's great to have the quarterback talking. Those things are all wins.
Yeah,
it's
those
good to
are
be able to
wins
do
for
those,
us.
but you have to be malleable.
Yes, you have to be very flexible.
I was delayed on the turnpike over. One of those things where you are you're going, oh God, what now? And then you see what now, and you go, oh, I see. So
hopefully everybody
God bless,
is okay. Yeah.
If anyone involved in that, because it was two separate incidents that were both quite substantial in nature. Okay, we had a lot of details off the top right before you spoke with Greg in terms of things on the roster. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about Juan Thornhill. We talked about how great he was in the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Did anyone see this coming?
No.
Like all of a sudden we're IR'd?
No, and in fact, when you looked at it, Juan Thornhill played 60 of the 63 snaps in this game. So there was no indication that this had happened, to my knowledge. I don't remember him coming out. If he did, it had to be at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But I don't recall, and no, this is very disappointing. Great, you heard Greg say it, right?
Yeah,
the best.
Stinks, man.
That was the best game that he'd played as a Cleveland Brown. 9 tackles, flying all over the place, playing great in the deep post. I thought he had a phenomenal performance, and now it's going to be Rodney McLeod and Ronnie Hickman. And now the good news is that Ronnie Hickman did get a lot of good work, but that's of the newsmakers. Fields, yes, you like Tony Fields, you like what Mo Hurst gives you. He's been a productive player for you, but Thornhill was the guy. Diabate and Fields were probably more special teams than not. Thornhill was the guy that you needed to be out there. And now not.
Now not. No. And kind of a linchpin on the back end. He dealt with this much of last season. He was dealing with this. Did we get clarity?
So I asked, and I guess when we
we'll
listen
play
to Coach
coming up, so
yeah.
maybe. If it was same, I just was curious if it was the same.
That's what I asked,
yeah.
And he said he said he thinks so, but he did not say it with great confidence.
We had a couple other, David Bell signed back, all signed to the active roster. David Bell among them. So we talked Mike Ford Jr., Kalika Hudson, and Sam Kamara.
So that means we have 7 receivers currently on the active roster.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of receivers, brother.
It is a lot of receivers.
Siaki Ika comes back to the practice squad.
Yeah.
So you saw that too. In terms of the notable news of the day. And we'll play Coach's presser for you here in about 10 minutes.
Yep.
But the chief out. I think we all expected that. He's out this week. Everybody expected that. Kind of the news on Conklin and Jed as we get those guys ready to go in terms of playing this weekend. Will that be, in your view, probably a day-to-day thing?
I think it's probably day-to-day, but I think that it's trending well. It's trending well.
Do you understand? I've seen this a lot in the last couple of days about I don't know if like the secret's not out, but and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Was there any talk of DeJuan Jones not being the starting right tackle?
Not to my knowledge.
Mine
no.
either. But
no.
like one thing that I have heard both locally and nationally
we're playing backup tackles.
Is that we're playing backup tackles. And DeJuan Jones, folks, if you're just joining and just jump in, the water's warm. DeJuan Jones was the right tackle from Jump Street. Jack Conklin, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you'd know more than me, was probably viewed as the swing heading into this year, that he'd be able to bounce back and forth, our guess of it, and that Jed would be the left tackle, and that's the way that you would go. But there was no discussion ever of DeJuan not being the starting right tackle. He was superb last year when healthy.
Not to my knowledge. He was on the Pro Football Writers Association All-Rookie team. By the way, I just pulled up the tape from Sunday.
Yeah.
Thornhill's out there on the very last snap of the game when they're kneeling.
Yeah.
So, and looks fine. So there's nothing that indicated, and he was on their very last play when Dak Prescott was still in the game, which was a 3rd down, 3rd and 6, and he came up and made a nice close down from his safety position and was right there when it was incomplete and looked celebrated. I mean,
yeah.
No, did not
came
see
out of
us
nowhere.
coming. I mean, it is what it is. It's not. It's unfortunately we can't be. Oh, it's maybe not. It is.
It is that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I heard was that Dewan did not play well in the opener, and I thought you had the stats on Monday that he didn't give up a pressure.
Yeah, that's according to Pro Football Focus. I thought he played well in the game.
Of the offensive line problems, he wasn't it.
No, the right side was better than the left side in this game.
Yeah. So there you go.
Dewan's a very good player, and that I feel very confident about his ability, certainly out there, especially as a pass protector. That is what he is excellent at.
Browns fans enter Huntington Bank Field quicker on game day with Express Access presented by Verizon. Also new this year, select concession stands will offer Express Access presented by Bud Light. Enroll for free today. Go to the Tickets tab in the Browns mobile app to learn more on that. Today is, of course, 9/11 as well. 23 years, brother. Hard to wrap your head around that.
Yep.
One of those things you're never going to forget where you were when it happened, obviously.
Nope. No. Obviously, a very, very sad day in American history. And, yeah, like you said, it's one of those unfortunate kind of tentpole events that you'll say, oh, I remember this. I remember exactly where I was. I was down in Atlanta at the time. I just gotten into work. It just awful. And, as always, you have to thank, all of the first responders, men and women in our military for all they do and the fact that we have been fortunate enough to not have a repeat of something like that in 23 years. But just, it's still one of those things that's hard for me to even watch any of the
me too.
documentaries about it. It was just so awful. And
I haven't watched the movies that were made surrounding it. It's just something I can't.
Yeah.
Can't. It was, you guys are old enough, I don't know how much, probably some of our audience would be old enough to remember pagers. You had pagers?
Sure.
So the
beeper?
Yeah. First pager I got was when I was a weekend sports guy at the CBS affiliate in Tallahassee. And the rule that the news director had was on days you work, you are on the clock always. So if your pager better be on you. I don't care what you're doing. If you're on a day and you're scheduled to work, any time of day, the pager better be ready and better be ready to go. But I was a sports guy, so it's not like – a volleyball game was not going to break out in Wakulla County.
Totally.
Like there wasn't that much from a breaking news standpoint that you had to worry about too much. Coaches fired here and there, that's about it. But I'd been on the job about 6 months when on this day 23 years ago, I got a page that just said 911. And we knew when you got hired that if you got that page, it was stop what you are doing and call the station now. Like that's what it was.
Okay.
And I called the station and the CBS affiliate, and I couldn't get through. How are the lines busy? No, the lines are busy? Come on. Like, what happened? All I thought was something happened with Bobby Bowden. Something happened here. Like, there's some sort of sports thing that I got to go do. And so as I kept trying to call, I turned on the television. At that point, the first one had been hit at that point. And so
I was in the office, and I don't know if you remember this, but when the first one had been hit, and the initial reports on it were that it was like a commuter plane.
I remember all this well, and I remember watching the national news going, there has been an accident in one of the Twin Towers, and it was – nobody knew. You didn't know. Like, you thought it was an accident, but I was watching live when –
the second one hit, and then you're like, what? Yeah, we
and
are
then
under attack.
You're watching
Pentagon.
live. I was watching live. Because then it was like the second one.
What time was it in the morning? Like 9
I would say like the first one was in the 8 o'clock hour, and the second one was in the 10 o'clock hour.
Actually, it was like 8:45 and 9:03.
It was quick.
Within
they
15
were
minutes?
quick together.
I didn't realize.
So maybe
it
the
was
Pentagon
that
was
close.
at 10 o'clock.
Pentagon was later.
Yeah, Pentagon
and then
was
the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania.
Was later.
The one that crashed in Pennsylvania turned and it was headed toward the White House.
Right.
I mean, it made the turn over this city.
Jeez. The bravery, all of it.
Yeah.
And, we were in local news, so it was like, but there was nothing we could do because it was all national. There's nothing to do. We thought anybody out here was around at that time remembers, you thought it was a world at war. Like, this is World War III. Are we do we mobilize the military? Like, what happens? Like, that was pretty obvious by the time you got to the middle of the day. The first interview I did after was with Bobby Bowden. I've told this story before. He was a World War II historian. Like, he was a military history buff. When you went into his office and it overlooked Doak Campbell Stadium at the one end, it had like almost like a front porch that overlooked the stadium, and his office was grand and gorgeous as it would be. And you walked in, and it was full of MacArthur and Patton and all of this stuff, all military history. And we talked to him probably 4 or 5 days after 9/11, and he couldn't wrap his head around it. I mean, none of us could. But from that generation, it was so difficult because in his generation, there was always an evil you could point to. Oh, that guy.
That country.
Hitler, Mussolini, whatever.
Yep.
In this instance, like in the beginning, we didn't even know who. We kind of had an idea, but it took a little while, and it was like, who would do this? Like, this is different warfare. This is not my army and your army, and let's go to battle on a field. This was something else entirely.
Yep.
And he just had a hell of a time with it. We all did, but it struck me just someone of that generation just couldn't. He just never could wrap his head around it.
It's wild. There are two things about it also that are wild. It was when George Bush was in a school.
Yeah. Yep.
They were like reading a book to
yeah.
grade school kids, and you see somebody come and tell him in his ear, and his reaction, which was not much, but also a lot. Just insane.
Yeah, and looking back on it, you think you put yourself in his shoes, and you're thinking like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
No, I meant not much, but you could tell through his face something very serious had been said to him, but he was trying also not to.
But I just mean, like, how do you even process the absurdity of it?
I have no idea.
You know?
No idea.
The spot that you're
And then
in.
people who have only been in the world for the last 10 years probably would not be able to fathom the job Rudy Giuliani did in the city of New York in the aftermath of this.
No. And the first responders there, the thousands that were saved, and
oh man, amazing.
The work that was done.
Yeah.
No, it was awesome. And the big thing that I remember positively coming out of it was just a blanket of like, we're all Americans that happened for a couple of years afterwards. Like, it was everyone rode in the same direction for a couple of years after that. That was pretty cool.
I mean, if I recall this correctly, they canceled all the NFL games that weekend.
Yep.
And then they came back the following weekend, and it was like a big.
Yeah, I mean, you remember
moment.
and Druzy with the Jets,
with the flag,
and the Patriots as well.
Yep,
you remember all of that stuff. Yeah, the NFL came back first. I heard Riz talking about this on RBS too, and I was thinking about this when I was at that Super Bowl when the Patriots beat the Rams, and that's the Super Bowl where the credentialing for that started out. You guys are familiar with that. There's that Hyatt that's kind of across the street from the Superdome, kind of headed towards downtown.
Yeah.
It used to be a Hyatt. Maybe it's not a Hyatt. It's been a while since I've been there. But
with
it used to
the
be a Hyatt.
interior elevators?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there used to be, I don't know if it's still there or not, but the credentialing line started there for that Super Bowl. And it went from there. So think about how far that is. It's about a city block distance from there. It started above ground, then it went underground. And as you were going into it, there were the Tomahawk helicopters. There were 4 of them just around the Superdome, just floating, like keeping an eye on things. And then you got in. Finally, it took forever to get through security, appropriately so, because that was a monster event, and there was worry that it was going to be some sort of attack. But the halftime was U2, and that's where they did Where the Streets Have No Name.
Yep.
I heard Schefter talking about this morning because he wrote that book about his now wife, whose husband died on 9/11, and they did the scroll of the names today in New York. And when U2 unfurled that banner, and it went from like the 40 to the 30 to the 30, it was the full all the way to the ceiling of the Superdome, and they played Where the Streets Have No Names, and it was the scroll. And you didn't know it. As you're sitting there in the stadium, you didn't know what it was until it started to happen, and then like you start to see these thousands of names, you go, my God. You just couldn't wrap your head around it. Couldn't. And still having trouble 23 years later, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Doing it. So very thankful to those who were the first responders and our military who continue to keep us safe now 23 years later. But always something to never forget. You'll hear from Coach Stefanski at the podium coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. When a medical mistake causes your injury, call the medical malpractice attorneys at 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Now we head to the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Vivid Seats, purchase your official fan experience package day for the ultimate game day. Here is Coach Stefanski from the podium.
Okay.
You're down 7 minutes.
Legal situation. We put out a statement yesterday. I won't have much to add past that statement. We'll let due process play out and follow the NFL's guidelines. We are 100% focused on Jacksonville, 100% focused on going on the road against a good football team, trying to find a way to get a W. Good team, good players, good coaches. I know Doug well, really good coach. What they do offensively is really challenging. They got a very talented quarterback. We've all seen, we've played against these guys recently, I think December last year, but playmakers on the perimeter, they added to their wide receiver room. Evan Ingram, really, really good player, was very difficult to cover last year for us. So he's a challenge. Run game, multiple up front. They really can do different things. Defensively, Ryan Nielsen, outstanding coach. Good guys up front, good guys in the back end. They can play coverage, they can play man, they can play zone, they can pressure you, and with great players up front. And then special teams, Heath Farwell, special teams coordinator for them. We were together in Minnesota many moons ago. Does a really nice job with that group. So good kicker, rookie kicker, I think hit a 50-yarder last week. Punter's very good, as we know, and then Duvernay, a returner, we know well. So talented across the board with really good coaches. So we got to have a great work week before getting on that plane. And with that, I'll take any questions.
In regards to Deshaun, in light of the new allegations, do you still play? Is he going to play this week? Is everything still football-wise still a go?
Yes.
Everything that is going on in his life right now. I know you said you're 100% focused on Jacksonville. Just, haven't been around him. Where's his focus? Where's he at?
Yeah, focused on the task at hand.
This from becoming a distraction, Kevin.
Yeah, that's how we operate, Jeff. We really are concerned about the things that are right in front of us in this building. We concern ourselves with our opponent, so that's really where our focus is.
The signing of Kadarius Toney. You have a lot of receivers, you have a lot of returners. So what's up with the acquisition?
Yeah, just felt like it's a player that we can add to our practice squad. Tony, potentially down the road, somebody that could help us on offense and special teams.
You lost 4 defenders today to injured reserve. Just touch on just what a blow that is and how you plan to fill those 4 roles.
Yeah, a lot of roster moves on Monday and Tuesday, but that's part of it. Andrew and the personnel group did a really nice job finding some guys to bring in here that will help us. And again, that's part of it. You don't love seeing your guys in boots walking around, obviously, but that's part of it, and they'll bounce back.
Juan played pretty much the whole game on Sunday. When did the calf injury?
Yeah, it started to bother him late in the game. I don't have the exact play. He's very disappointed. I thought he played really well in that game, but he'll be just fine.
Are they all out for the year? None of them designated for return?
I think they're all potential for return.
For you guys in practice this week, looking at that offensive line and how they can kind of operate with your quarterback and kind of correct those wrongs from that first week?
Yeah, I think so much of the game, and we talked about the last week's game, but talking about just in general, pass protection is really an 11-person job, and it's add a 12th, add a coach to that too. So it's our job to put the plan together, and then it's the offensive line. The tight ends are heavily involved in protection, whether they're helping or whether they're responsible for a player, and then receivers and tight ends getting open. Running backs obviously factor hugely into that as well, and then the quarterback. And the quarterback always has to work together with the offensive line, understand where they're setting, where you set versus a quick game is different than where you may set for a 7-step drop and those type of things. So everybody has to work in concert.
Jacksonville defensive line, comparative to what you saw last week against the Cowboys, I know the Cowboys had Micah, but is this maybe as a group a better defensive front than even what you saw?
I can't compare the two. I would tell you they're outstanding. We've played them, obviously played 44, 41 last time, but to add length in 91 to this group, I mean, it's a really talented group. we'll have our work cut out for ourselves.
You have 3 tight ends now on the practice squad. Are any of them capable of catching up to what you do here to contribute for Sunday?
For sure, yeah, and we absolutely have options on your practice squad. There's, as you know, you can get 2 elevations per game with those players. So those are all things that we'll continue to look at. But yeah, all the players on our practice squad, we feel we're always trying to get those guys ready to play on Sunday.
I know you said on Monday David was due for the week. You didn't put him on injury reserve today, so it's pretty easy to assume that that's good news for him. Just where's he at, and is he closer to coming back now or closer to that 4-week IR window?
Well, he's out this week. Beyond this week, I don't really have. We'll have to see how it goes.
Similar or different are the Jaguars from when you played them? However many months
Yeah,
ago?
I mean, they're different. We're different. They have a new defensive coordinator. We have a new offensive coordinator. Obviously, there were guys that were injured in their first game that are now playing. They had, Gabe Davis, had Brian Thomas. They had receivers. We obviously we have players that weren't available in that last game that are playing. So there's guys back from injury. So I think the personnel is so different, and in a lot of ways the scheme is different too.
Week 1, I believe the team was last in the league in terms of motion at the snap. I know that in bringing Ken Dorsey along, that's kind of one of the things that you wanted to incorporate more. Was that low use of motion just a factor, a byproduct of having trouble just normally getting lined up in some of the procedural penalties?
Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into 1-week samples in terms of whether it's motion or play type and those type of things. It's always a week-to-week thing.
Trevor Lawrence, I think last week you guys was playing on that hurt ankle. So when he's healthy, what makes him so dangerous?
Extremely talented, can make every throw, very, very athletic, has made plays with his feet over the course of time in his career, but can make every throw, really a playmaker from the pocket, just really solid player.
Rookie comments, what traits really stand out about him? They kind of separate him to make him dangerous at all.
Downfield threat, can run, can make contested catches. A lot of people liked him when he was coming out.
The run game for you guys, how do you kind of get that going?
Yeah, I think, again, it kind of goes back to the week-to-week type of thing. So some of it we need to be better schematically. Some of it we just need to strain a little bit harder. It's not going to be easy. This is a very good run defense, particularly with the guys we were talking about that they have up front. But just got to make sure that we put our guys in position to go make plays, and that's true in the run and the pass.
Certainly going to be a stiff challenge on Sunday down in Jacksonville. We'll beat the Jaguars coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And Bo here for my friends at the James B. Beam Distilling Company. Booker No's vision for Knob Creek was the full embodiment of full-flavored American whiskey through age, proof, and flavor to create a product that sets the standard. And with Knob Creek, that is exactly what they did, to champion those who stay true to their craft, know what they like, and don't feel the pressure to conform. This fall, boy, do I got a deal for you. You take advantage of this Knob Creek steak rebate. You just upload a picture of your receipt at knobcreeksteakrebate.com, and they're going to send you $20 to your Venmo account. Must be 21 to participate. See full terms at knobcreeksteakrebate.com. Knob Creek, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 50% alcohol by volume. 2024 James B. Beam Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky. Knob Creek, drink what tastes right. And now time to meet your Jacksonville Jaguars, and for that, we turn to Dr. Z.
Ah, yes. The Jags 0-1. They lost 20-17 to the Miami Dolphins in Week 1. The Jags were a team that came into Cleveland last year at 8-4 in Week 14, and they lost to the Browns 31-27 and would go on to not make the playoffs at the end of that season. But this is still a very, very talented team. They've got a good offensive line. They brought in Mitch Morse, the center. They got Brandon Scherf. They've got some good players. They traded for Ezra Cleveland, and then their first-round pick from 2023, Anton Harrison, is at right tackle. Cam Robinson out of Alabama is at left tackle. So good line, and then good skill, good quarterback. Should be a good, fun, explosive offense. Now, they only mustered 17 points in the opener. Trevor Lawrence really didn't do much in the second half of that game, which was kind of surprising. If you look at him in the first half, he was 9 of 14 for 125 yards and a touchdown. Second half, 3 of 7 for 37 yards. Odd.
Yeah, it was a red zone game for me, and so I would only get the scoring updates, so I can't tell what happened. If they didn't get possessions or what happened on that, but because they were ahead the whole way on Miami. Yeah, and then Miami came back in the second half
and won it well, and they won because Travis Etienne fumbled going into the end zone, which would have been a touchdown, and then the very next play, 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill, and so that was a 14-point swing in a 3-point game. Trevor Lawrence, a very, very good quarterback, but has not quite put it together. I think, is it fair to say, Bo, he hasn't put it together 100%. The way that maybe people thought? He was considered to be on the Andrew Luck level of sure thingness.
There was talk coming after his freshman year. He whipped Alabama in the national championship game at Clemson and supplanted a guy who was a very good starter from the year before, supplanted him early. There was talk in college football that he could have gone number 1 overall after his freshman year at Clemson. He was as sure a thing. You're exactly right. He was as sure a thing as Andrew Luck in the eyes of most people evaluating college players. So, yeah, I don't think he has been. Now, we've talked about this a bunch. The year 1 is a disaster.
Throw it out. The last two seasons, he's gone to the Pro Bowl, 66% completions, over 4,000 yards. Over the last 2 seasons combined, he's thrown 46 touchdowns with only 22 picks, so better than a 2-to-1 ratio. And his quarterback rating's about 95. So he has been, the last 2 years, actually quite good. And then as a runner over the last 2 seasons, he's given you over 600 yards running and 9 touchdowns and 5 yards a carry. So a good athlete as well. So Trevor Lawrence,
he's 9 up, 9 down. He's 50-50 as a starter since if you take year 1 out.
Right.
He's exactly 17 up, 17 down.
Yeah, because they were 8-8 in his 16 starts a year ago, 9. And the thing about the 2023 Jacksonville Jags was they lost 5 of their last 6 games to finish 9-8. They were at one point 8-3.
Yeah.
They beat the Houston Texans. They lose in overtime to Cincinnati, 34-31, lose to us, then lose to Baltimore, lost to Tampa, beat Carolina, lost to Tennessee. So this is a team that's lost, dating back to last season now, 6 of their last 7 games.
Yeah.
And yet, they are quite talented. I mentioned Lawrence. Travis Etienne's the running back. Last year, 1,008 yards, career-high 11 touchdowns, also 58 catches, 476 yards, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. They've got Tank Bigsby, who had a career-high 73 yards in Week 1. Evan Ingram, the 2-time Pro Bowl tight end, last year had 114 catches, 963 yards, and 5 touchdowns. His best game of the season came against us. Mm-hmm. He had 11 catches, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Browns. Wide receivers, they add Gabe Davis to the mix. Calvin Ridley's gone. Gabe Davis is in. Gabe Davis led them with 3 catches for 62 yards in Week 1. And Gabe Davis is a guy for his career averages 17 yards a catch, 27 touchdowns, all of it with Buffalo and Josh Allen prior to coming to Jacksonville. Their first-round pick out of LSU, Brian Thomas Jr., He is 6'2" as well, so they've got some big guys on the outside. 4 catches, 47 and a touchdown in his debut. And then they also have Christian Kirk coming back from an injury, who had a 30-yard catch in week 1. But back in 22, 84 catches, 1,108 yards, 8 touchdowns, all career highs with Jacksonville. Last year, he was limited in his appearances, 787 and 3 touchdowns. So they've got good skill to good offense. And then Doug Peterson, we know, is the head coach. Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator. Mike McCoy, the quarterback coach. So Mike McCoy wasn't he the head coach of the Chargers?
I think you have that right.
With Phil Rivers?
That seems right. Yeah.
It feels right.
You said it to where I could picture him there.
Yeah. I think he went from being, in my mind, he went from being like a quarterback coach in like Denver maybe? Or Gase was the quarterback coach in Denver?
Gase was the quarterback coach in Denver that then got the job. His first one was in Miami, or was it in New York? Where did he get the job first? The idea that he got 2 cracks at it, Gase did.
He did. All right, so he was Mike McCoy.
Yeah.
Oh, he was I had it right. He was Denver's offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Pre-Peyton.
Okay.
Then went to the Chargers, was the head coach for 4 seasons. Then back to Denver as the OC, Arizona as the OC, and now Jacksonville. And he was out of the league since 2018. Back in 2022 as the quarterback coach in Jacksonville.
Wow. That's strange to be out for 5 years. Usually you're out that long, you stay out.
That's it. No, he's back. Defensively, this Jacksonville team has some studs, and I thought it was interesting. In week 1, they really played a 3-safety look. Andre Sisco, Antonio Johnson, and Darnell Savage, who they signed off from the Green Bay Packers this offseason, were the 3 safeties. And then up front, they've got some really good players. Travon Walker was the number 1 overall pick a couple of years ago. He had 2 sacks in the season opener. On the other side, Josh Hines Allen, who signed a 4-year, $141 million deal in the offseason. Josh Hines Allen last year, 17.5 sacks. I don't know how many people would have that. If you said who was second in the NFL in sacks, I don't know how many names people would have given before they got to Josh Hines Allen. 17.5 sacks, which is a Jags franchise record. It was second in the NFL. He had 4 games with 2.5 or more sacks last year. They bring in Eric Armstead, the former first-round pick of the 49ers, who had 5 sacks a year ago. So now he's a big man, 6'7", 290. So they're 4-man front, Walker on one side, Allen on the other, Armstead, and then Devon Hamilton, the former Buckeye, in the middle, who was kind of had a middling career, I would say, as a 3rd-round pick. So that's what they've got there. At the second level, Olukin Foyesade Olukin.
Poofda.
That's a tough one. I'm just calling him Olukin.
Yep.
Olukin. He has been he's led the league in tackles with Atlanta. I remember him very well because the first game I did in the United States in the booth with Jim was a preseason game down in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Before that season, MJ Emerson had that big, I think a pick 6, if I'm not mistaken. I know he had a big interception. I'm pretty sure it was a pick 6.
I remember the lead up to that game more than I remember the game.
Yeah. And so that was my first one down there. So I remember him. Devin Lloyd, their other linebacker. Secondary at the corners, not great. Tyson Campbell, a 2nd-round pick out of Georgia back in 21. He's been solid for his career, but not spectacular. Then they brought in Ronald Darby on the other side. Darby, in his debut with them, was beaten 5 out of 6 passes, 111 yards, a touchdown, 158.3 rating when targeted. His last interception was in 2019 with the Philadelphia Eagles. So not the best secondary. Their backups are a 7th-rounder in 22, Monteric Brown, and then a 3rd-rounder rookie from Florida State, Jerrion Jones. So I think that we can certainly get after them. But they can get after the quarterback. They did not do a great job of it week 1 against Miami, but this is a team that definitely can get after the quarterback. Walker did have 2 sacks. Armstead had a sack, so they had 3, but they didn't generate a ton of pressure. But that's who they are. If you look at from 23, they were 25th in the league in sacks, 26th pass defense, 22nd total defense. They were number 9 against the run. They were good on 3rd downs, though. They were 8th on 3rd downs, 27th in turnover margin at -3.
Campbell is out for this one. He's got the hammy, so that even makes it even more attackable.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he suffered the hamstring injury in week 1, and they're saying he will miss some time with the hamstring injury.
So go ahead and put that on.
So that would be
that's huge. So then it's going to be...
He's their best corner, and he's going to be down.
That's going to be Darby and Monteric Brown and the rookie Jerrion Jones. Now, maybe that's a reason why they played so much 3 safety Week 1, Antonio Johnson, Andre Sisco, and Darnell Savage, but that is definitely something to keep an eye on. That is a big loss for them. Clearly their number one corner.
The other thing that's interesting with them is obviously this is a very, very critical game for us coming off of the home loss to Dallas.
Very big game for them.
It is a monster for them. You mentioned losers of 6 of their last 7. They play Buffalo the following Monday, and then they go to Houston after that. So they are in a spot where 0-1, all being AFC games, they're gonna, if they don't win this one, they'll definitely be dogs in the other 2. You're looking at they could be staring down the barrel of 0-4 to start the year, which would be dreadful. So whatever their best is, it's their home opener, you're going to get it on Sunday.
There's no doubt. You're exactly right about that. You're going to get the best they've got. This is a game where our defense needs to erase the ails or the problems they had last year when they had to go out onto the road and not play at the level that they certainly you would have wanted them to. I even talked about it with Greg Newsome. They're the number 1 scoring defense in the league at home. They were the number 32 scoring defense in the league on the road last year, which is a crazy, crazy stat.
Can't get bigger than that.
No, that's exactly what he said, as a matter of fact. You've got to stop. They're going to win this game with their offense.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the big matchup in this game is going to be our defense against their offense and what we do to stop them from beating the Browns. Take the football away from them, but it's going to be about getting to Trevor Lawrence. Now, you remember when we played them last year, Lawrence threw for 257 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he also threw for 3 interceptions, and the Browns sacked him 4 times. Zadarius, Mo Hurst, Obo Karanko, Grant Delpit all got sacks. M.J. Emerson had 2 picks and 3 passes defensed.
Yeah.
Newsome had an interception and 4 passes defensed. Denzel didn't even play in the game. So we are at a better strength on defense to take them on, and it should be a good game. It should be a good game. They are not a pushover at all, even though they're in a bit of a rut. As I said, they've lost 6 of their last 7 dating back to last year, including one of those in that stretch to us.
Lawrence is an interesting one, isn't he? Because statistically, 2 years ago, you thought he would only stack on that and get better, and then they took a step back last year.
I mean,
he did
his
too.
numbers
He was
were
21 touchdowns, 14 picks last year after
not enough
2-1 the year before,
Yes.
and kind of stepped back everywhere. And there are a million things that lead into it, but it's a monster year for them down there. I mean, it is. I think people have. Certainly, people feel like Houston passed them in their own division. Maybe India's on the way of passing them, and it's like, why? They have all this young talent. Almost everybody you mention are guys they drafted. They're homegrown guys, whether it's defensive line or Etienne.
Everybody on their team they drafted.
Yeah, it's
they
all
trade for Ingram, but a lot of people are homegrown. There's no doubt.
It's a monster game. Monster game down there on Sunday down in Jacksonville. We will attempt to guess the scores with Dr. Z coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. That number is 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Time of the week and of the show where we attempt to guess the scores with Dr. Z.
Oh, baby.
You ready, buddy?
I don't
you ready
know.
for this?
No, I don't think I am.
Sterling in week 1.
I don't think I am. I think we're going to go 1-1, which is
But,
exactly what I want the Browns to be.
Last week I feel like was the tough week.
I think so, too.
Because it was the unknown.
And I think I also think there's a pattern now that is happening there's kind of only 3 places to go when it comes with this. So let's
unless we get some of the lopsided ones where it could go to 10 or to 14 or
we haven't had any of that though
yet.
It's all been not been there. So all right, here we go. Guess the lines week 2, and we start on Thursday night with the Buffalo Bills down in Miami against the Dolphins. Bills.
Slow down, Tyreek. Slow down.
At Dolphins. Boy, he had a press conference.
Huh?
He had a press conference.
Today?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I bet.
Yeah. Yep.
I think this should be Dolphins -3, but I think that Josh Allen carries a lot of weight on that, so I'm going to go Miami -1.
Should have stuck with your original. It's Miami -2.5.
I'm in for this already.
Gibby.
I thought it was going to be like 1.5 or.
Yeah. It might get
I
there.
shouldn't have done 1. That was a dumb thing to do.
Should have went 1.5.
I still wouldn't have got it.
You wouldn't have, but that's.
It's the Thursday. It's a quick turnaround.
Yeah. All right. The Sunday slate starts with us. It is us at Jacksonville, Dr. Z.
I mean, we should be favoring this, but we are. There's no way we are. I think I overheard Gibbe talking earlier. There's some power poll that has us ranked 32nd in the league.
Yeah, Gabe found a power poll that has. I'm
like,
come on, dude. Did you not see Carolina?
Like, come on. Hey, come on.
I think Jags -3.
Got it. Exactly. All right, we'll stay in the 1 o'clock window. I'll get back to Bengals and Chiefs. Saints at Cowboys. New Orleans at Dallas.
Dallas -7.
Got it. Dallas -6.5. Good job out of you.
I almost went 7.5.
All right, we are in Detroit, Ford Field. It is Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers at Detroit. A rematch of the postseason game from a year ago.
Detroit -3.5.
Detroit -7.
What?
Detroit.
That's a big number.
-7.
Wow.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
That's
a lot.
I wasn't even going to be in the realm of that at all. Like, no way. Okay.
To Green Bay we go. The Indianapolis Colts on the road for the first time against the Packers, who are starting Malik Willis.
Maybe.
Yeah. Tough when you. I mean,
Colts
what do you do with Malik Willis?
-1.5.
You don't get it. It is Colts -3.
What?
And as a lead for the
What?
scores, I like the Packers in that one.
Colts -3.
Colts -3.
God,
the New York Jets.
If Jordan Love was the quarterback, that would be the Packers
6.5.
I'd say Vegas zone. Yeah, so between 4 and 7.
Yep. Staying in the 1 o'clock window in Nashville
This is a
now.
bloodbath.
This is the New York Football Jets and those gorgeous floppy sleeves that Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson are wearing against the hometown Tennessee Titans.
Gotta say, I really think that they look better with the white helmets.
So, but those aren't the gangrene helmets.
I know they're not. But
no, that's just what I've. Go ahead, and then I'll say my piece.
No. It's just I don't. Maybe you got to mix them. I don't know. I didn't think they looked good at all.
They are the inferior uniform. Their uniform that's the best is the Namath uniform. That's the one. The Namath should be the primary, and they should have the gangrenes as the one-off.
Alternate.
That's how you blew it. They blew it.
They blew it. It just was really
It
stark.
was just such a improvement over what they were wearing
Yes.
previously that everyone was all excited about it. But when we were kids, nobody thought like the Gastineau Jets uniforms were cool. Nobody did.
But
nobody.
But the Pennington.
That's the
Yeah,
name.
the Pennington Santana.
They brought him back.
Yeah, they brought him back. Yeah.
Yeah. Now they were even more of a darker green. Namaths were more like Kelly green. And that's what they should live in. They should live in that world.
Yep, agreed.
All right. So
what
Jets
are they?
at Titans.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Jets -3.5.
Got it.
Right
Exactly. Good job at you. So you're 3 up, 3 down. You're fine.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
To Minneapolis we go, the gorgeous U.S. Bank Stadium. It is your San Francisco 49ers, the Fighting Pedros in Minnesota against the Vikings.
If all this stuff about Christian McCaffrey is true, and it appears that it is, that like he might not play for
a while.
Yeah,
thank you. That's good. That would have been nice when I was picking him number 1 overall.
He, I think, knowing what fantasy football is, owed that to people to be
I agree.
Dude, I've been your guy for... Don't draft me early this year.
Agreed.
Like, just say it. Just come out.
Someone should.
It's ridiculous.
I ain't right. I'll be right, but it's going to be a minute.
It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
Or, hey, if you draft me, make sure you get Jordan Mason.
I agree. I mean, as someone who's victimized,
it
sucks.
Because I do think
this
that
is
there
twice
is
I've drafted him number 1 overall.
And then he got hurt. That one year where he got hurt.
Carolina, he got hurt,
yeah.
and now this year.
It does feel like there is all this access, and I know that there's so much secrecy about it, but like if the guy's not playing, he's not playing, and the cat's out of the bag. So like against the Jets, maybe they prepared a little more for Christian McCaffrey than they would have otherwise.
Yeah.
But so what?
And by the way, it's not like they really changed what they're doing. McCaffrey's just better at it. They do the same stuff.
I mean, the guy was pretty good at it.
Yeah, he's probably better out of the backfield. But
yeah, of course.
I mean, he's Christian McCaffrey, but still,
yes,
like,
of course.
Come on. What are we doing?
I don't know. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, Niners.
Fighting Pedros at Minnesota.
I feel like it's got to be a touchdown. Niners -7.
Did not get it. Niners -6.
Dang it.
Niners -6. Continuing the 1 o'clock window, we are in Foxborough, a couple of 1-0 teams. The Seattle Seahawks at the New England Patriots. This would be
a little hike for Seattle.
Good luck. I have no... Like, if this were me, I don't even know where I would begin.
By the way, and it's a 1 o'clock kick. They've literally got to go coast to coast.
Coast to coast and play at 1 o'clock. I would have no idea where to begin.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle minus 2.5.
Seattle -3.5.
Come.
You could have convinced me New England -1. I mean, I think there's a lot in play on that one.
Man.
We are staying in the northeastern part of the country in the 1 o'clock window. It is the Giants at the Commies. Giants at Commies.
Gross.
And this is your inmate game of the week. This is it. Giants at Commies. Two once proud franchises.
Commies -3.
Commies -1.5.
Oh, my goodness. It's a bloodbath.
That should be a pick 'em.
That's awful.
No, the Commies are way better. The Commies should be 3-point favorites.
But they might have the worst defense in football against this is the worst offense in football.
Yeah.
I mean, these are two teams that are really bad.
Yes.
Chargers, 1 o'clock. Chargers at Panthers.
These lines, this was not an easy week. And
I agree.
These deviated from the numbers.
I know it. That's why I jumped in and said I wouldn't want to do what's going on.
I'm loving every part of this.
Chargers. I my joy's
How's it big enough?
I've already got sapped joy anyway. Chargers -6.5.
Got it exactly.
There you go.
Good job out of you. The kid is back.
Don't
Go on
sell
a run here.
yourself
Go on a
short. You're
run.
Tremendous slouch.
To Baltimore we go. It's Baltimore, gentlemen. It is Vegas and the Ravens.
Baltimore -7.5.
Baltimore -9.5.
That's a big. That might be the biggest number of the
niner.
week.
That's a big number.
A niner. 4 o'clock. Arizona. Barrio Queen. Ramets at Cards.
I still can't believe Tampa. Did you say 7?
Yeah. Yep.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think
Unless it does.
the scores mean I think you got to take the Lions. There's no way I'm not.
Ramit at Arizona.
Their line's so beat up. You could convince me either team could be favored. I'm going to go Ramets -2.5.
Arizona -1. Arizona.
Like I said, both teams could be
-1. All right, this is your America's Game of the Week. It is in Kansas City. It is the Bengals at the Chiefs, and the realization that perhaps that it looks like maybe not T. Higgins this week, but
Longer.
Yeah.
And is Joe Burrow's hand okay?
Remember, Mike Brown, in your pie charts, when you don't pay somebody an extended deal, they're not as incentivized to play for you.
Now, the
Or come
only
back
thing
as quickly.
That's it. That's real.
Hold
And
on.
I don't blame T. Higgins.
Hold on.
He has to protect his investment.
He does, but he also needs to have a big year so he can get paid.
He does.
Unless he
but he
thinks
doesn't-
everything speaks for itself. What
I don't
he's done
think he
before.
needs a big year. He just needs like, if, for example, wouldn't you agree that a big year, of course, would trump all? But if he had 10 games where he balled out, that's probably enough.
Yeah.
8 ball out games. So I guess what we're saying is it's kind of the old Ohio State thing. Like, don't come back until you're 100%. The Boses always do that. Like, I wonder if that's what T. Higgins is doing. Like, I'm not playing until I'm all the way there. But they're in Kansas City trying to avoid going 0-2 against the defending champions twice over, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Higgins only played 12 games last year. I think there's a part of him that needs to say, I can be available. I really think it should be Chiefs -7. I don't think it will be, so I'm going to say Chiefs -5.5.
Got it. Chiefs -5. Chiefs -5.
Okay.
All right, final 4 o'clock game. It is Pittsburgh at Denver. Pittsburgh at
Gross.
Denver. Justin Fields preparing to start in Pittsburgh for week 2 out in Denver.
Steelers -3.5.
Got it. Steelers -3. You got a chance.
What's
you got
his
a chance.
record?
He gets the next 2. He's even Steven.
Even Steven.
There we go.
It's a losing
Dude, in week 2, that's
So,
winning.
A tie is as good as a win.
I agree.
I'll give it to you. There you go.
Bears. Bears at Texans on Sunday Night Football. Bears at Texans on Sunday Night Football.
Texans -6.5.
Texans -6.
So I got it.
Got it.
Oh, you didn't.
Well, I didn't want to, because this is all comes down to this. I had a feeling it would.
I feel pretty good about the final run that I've done.
Here you go. Here it is. Falcons,
Oy.
the Dirty Birds.
Okay. Philly, right?
Bert Emanuel walking through that door. Bert Emanuel. At Philly.
Yeah,
Birds at Birds.
And they just lost at home to the Steelers, who didn't even score a touchdown.
That is correct.
Eagles -6.5.
Got it exactly. What a rally, dude.
All right, there we go.
4 in a row.
4 in a row.
At the end.
4-8 at one point.
That's a very good job out of you. Browns fans, come party with Josh Cribbs, Kevin Mack, Joe Hayden, and more. True Fan Travel hosting premium trip packages for Browns fans in Vegas, New Orleans, Denver, and D.C. Flights, hotels, tailgates, tickets, and more, all taken care of. Visit truefantravel.com today and reserve your ultimate Browns travel package. A little thing or not a thing coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Boost your game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet of $50 or more. You'll get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for a little thing or not a thing. And for that, we bring on... Give it!
Hi.
Give it!
Do it! Gentlemen, this from The Athletic today.
Let's do it.
They have an article out today. Which 0-1 teams should be worried?
All right.
Okay. So I picked out a couple of them. Obviously, there were 16 that are 0-1.
Yeah.
And I picked out a couple of the main ones. Obviously, they were extremely worried about the Browns going forward, but in typical overreaction, let's see how this week plays out here before we really start getting a little antsy.
The great judge. I would just say this. So I don't remember if I talked to you guys. This was the most football that I have watched since I have been married or had children, was this past weekend.
Good for you.
So the timing of it.
Congratulations on all your success.
No, I don't know that it was. It was too much, honestly. It was almost overkill, but I was so excited to watch all of it. The college day was pretty cool on Saturday, and then the Sunday, the games, it lined up great. Like, I was really interested in Atlanta and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, and then our game, obviously, in the late window. The Sunday nighter was awesome, and the Monday nighter was great. Like, I was into all of it. So it was the most I've ever watched. By the end of it, I was like in a coma. It was so much. So in terms of this, I feel like I watched the whole damn league because I basically sat on my couch from 1 o'clock to 11 straight.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Well, and I did that Saturday too. Saturday was the same. The noon game there was a great noon game. Oh, it was Michigan, Texas was at noon.
Correct.
Ohio State was at 7:30, so they were at night. The 4 o'clock, there was a good one at 4 o'clock too. I can't remember which one it was, but it was every window on the
Notre
college.
Dame lost.
That was it. They lost in the afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was good stuff throughout. Oh, and then we had Friday night too. You had Thursday night, Friday night.
I liked that. I know they can't do
much.
it, but I like that.
Yeah, I don't. I think we like it week one. That's what I think.
I like that.
I think we like it week one, and then you get.
Well, it's not going to happen again because they can't do it.
And I think they should keep it that way. Like. You can't go every day of the week. Although I'm sure at some point we'll be playing in Dubai for $300 million is my guess how that'll go.
I'd rather go there than Brazil.
Same. You'd crush it.
Just fine.
They got that indoor ski resort. No. Crush it.
Who gets hurt?
The Burj Khalifa? Give all the way to the top?
Skydiving off the top? Perfect. I'm in all the way.
Go ahead.
They put a reaction to each one of these teams, and I will ask you: is it a thing or not a thing?
Yep.
The Baltimore Ravens. They start off with they lose 27-20 to the Chiefs. Fantastic. Their reaction: relax. I ask you: thing or not a thing? Nathan Zagura.
So a thing would mean I agree
that
with
you agree
their
with
assessment.
it, that they should relax.
Yeah, that is a thing. Relax. I wrote here, not concerned at all. Do I think they are what a lot of people believe they are? No. But I also think that they are a very good football team.
I would say this. It depends on how you define success for Baltimore. If you define success for Baltimore the way you and I do, which is they are a playoff team, they are a team that can contend in this division, but also a team that, in my view, has no ability to go to Kansas City and win in the postseason. If that's it, then this is a thing.
Yep.
If you thought that Derrick Henry was going to be a 1,500-yard rusher and that they were going to be this dynamic threat and that their back end wasn't going to be a problem, then this is not a thing.
Yep.
So it just depends on the way you view success for them.
I like that.
Another Week 1 team falling short, the Cincinnati Bengals, who lose 16-10 to the Patriots. Again, the reaction from The Athletic, relax. I ask you, thing or not a thing? Bishop, you want to go first?
I don't like the mojo down there.
No.
I don't like what they're doing with Higgins. Just from their perspective, if I were a Bengal fan, I would not like Jamar Chase saying, hey, they agreed to pay me before the season. Did you hear, by the way, the details on this?
4 years, 140.
90 guaranteed. They didn't want the guarantee to kick in until 2027.
How's that possible?
So that was because he was good with the 140. He was good for the 90. They wanted the guarantees to not kick in until 1997.
And he put this all out there today, right?
This is all out there today. What are we doing? What are we doing? So I don't like that. I don't like the mojo. I don't like the fact that Burrow wouldn't throw it deep. I think that there could be – this is my favorite overreaction team in week one is, to me, they feel like there are some cracks in the foundation.
Yeah, you mentioned it the other day. Like, they haven't won an opener in how many years?
Oh, it's been like 5 years since they've won an opener. But, okay. That's normal, and them being slow starters is normal. Burrow being a slow starter is normal, all of it. But the off-field stuff, hey, don't take a picture of us walking across the street, like all that stuff, it's just they do not have don't have good mojo to them at all to start the year.
All right, so they go from the Chiefs, they get the Commies at home at the Panthers. So they're going to be at worst 2-2.
2-2. Yep.
And then Ravens at home at the Giants, so worst 3-3. And then at the Browns, home Eagles, home Raiders, at Ravens, at Chargers, home Steelers, at Cowboys, at Titans, home Browns, home Broncos, at Steelers.
Well, they get the last place schedule, so they'll benefit tremendously from that.
Yeah,
but again, they view themselves as Super Bowl contenders, and I think that they've got some issues.
Well, I also think that I think I'm saying right now that it's not a thing. I would not be relaxed if I was a Cincinnati Bengals fan because, as you pointed out, there are cracks in foundation, and then everybody I think has seen it now. It's shaking out his wrist constantly. He couldn't pick a Gatorade bottle up with his hand without putting his left hand under it to pop it up. That can't be good.
No.
I mean, think about throwing a football. There's a whole lot of your wrist in there.
Yep.
Onward we go in thing or not a thing to the Indianapolis Colts. They lose to the Texans in a good one, 29-27. The reaction from the athletic staff, be encouraged. I don't know what that means going forward, but thing or not a thing.
Being encouraged by the Colts?
Sure. Bo, I think you're up here.
That's fine. I'll take it. Yeah, I'd be encouraged. I think they got a nice young team. I think if they build around Richardson, and I said this earlier in the week, like treat him the way Carolina treated Cam. Like battering ram, you got a 6 to 7 year window. Take full advantage of it. Don't understand he's probably not going to be a 15-year quarterback because I'm sure he's going to hit a lot. He's wildly inaccurate, but he's a lot of fun when he unhurls it deep. So, yeah, I'd be encouraged. They're going to have a fun season.
Zagora.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate to – they were appropriate in the game against Houston. You saw the flashes of what was good. This is a team that last year was, again, one swing pass away from winning their division.
Yep.
I think they're a good team. I think they're an up-and-coming team. I think they've got lots of good young talent. So I think, yeah, I would be encouraged by them as well.
Onward we go to Atlanta, the Falcons.
Terrified.
18-10 to the Squealers. The reaction, we'll reserve judgment.
No, not
me.
I'm currently terrified. I can easily be pulled out of it if he comes out and throws for like 350 and he's just diming up Drake London and Pitts and Mooney down the field and he looks right. But that was terrifying. That was a terrifying performance by Kirk Cousins against the Steelers.
Agree. Cosign. I think he couldn't plant, couldn't drive the ball, grimaced on deep throws. No, I noticed all of it. It was wildly – it's one of those things where if I'd seen it in the preseason a little, I would have viewed them very differently than the way I viewed them when we were making our picks, quite honestly.
Yes.
Like he does not seem right at all, and I wonder like maybe they realize that in camp and that's why they shut Penix down because they know they're going to need him at some point. But
it's want to get him some reps, I would think.
I know. I agree with you. It's wild.
Next up, the Denver Broncos, who lost to Seattle 26-20.
We thought they were going to stink, and they stink.
Yeah.
Well, they say reserve judgment.
No.
I think we can go ahead and
they suck.
Judge.
No.
They suck.
Judged.
Yeah, and also like Seattle covers that. It was 6. They cover. Well, I mean it's a push, but also there were 2. They had 2 safeties. Seattle had 2 safeties in the game.
Denver had 2 safeties.
That's what I mean. That's
Seattle.
what I mean. Denver got 4 points on safeties and 2 possessions on safeties. It wasn't that close.
No.
The kid Knicks couldn't do anything. Everything was dink duck, dink duck.
Didn't you say Zagura like there someone was complimentary?
It was Rich Eisen. Rich goes.
Oh, that's right.
Rich loved him.
26 of 42, 138 yards, 2 picks.
It's the first time in NFL history someone has attempted 40 passes or more and thrown for under 150 yards.
Yeah.
Like there were 2 other instances. One was like Roethlisberger once.
That's right.
There was, I mean, it just never happens.
I mean, I don't see it.
No.
The team we play Sunday is up next. Jacksonville. They lose to the Dolphins 20-17. The reaction, they're going to reserve judgment. Thing or not a thing, Bishop?
I'd reserve judgment. I think they have too much talent. You went through it.
Yep.
I mean, they got injuries in the secondary, which are real, but they have a lot of talent on offense, and they've got some good young stars on the defensive front. So I would reserve judgment. They'll be in the mix.
Zagora?
I think they played well against a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't seal the deal. I think they probably should have, but the Jags are not a team to be taken lightly. Houston, I feel like, is probably the class of that division, but that division is actually pretty good all of a sudden. It went from being a doormat division to being pretty good.
There's
because
4 good quarterbacks.
The Jags are pretty good. I'll reserve judgment on Levis, but he did at times, definitely, I would agree with you, Gabe. At times, he definitely looked good last year. He was terrible in the opener.
Yeah. He threw him out of the game.
And it kind of feels like DeAndre Hopkins might be officially fully cooked. Yeah.
Glue factory. Next, the Green Bay Packers. They lose to the Eagles 34-29. The reaction from the athletic staff, worry. Thing or not a thing, Zagora?
Well, they don't have the guy that I thought was going to be the MVP in the league. So, yeah, I would be worried about that. If you don't have your quarterback, it's very difficult to be a good football team. Now, they've got the Colts at home, then at the Titans, then the Vikings at home. They need to find a way to go 2-1 in those games. And if they do that, they have an opportunity, I think, to get Love back and then be still in the mix.
I think that they are excellently coached. I think that they have a lot of nice talent spread around the roster, and I think they'll find a way to do exactly what you said. So I think not a thing. They will find a way to be head above water when Jordan Love comes back.
Do we have a timeline on him?
It's 4 to 6 is what they said, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
About 3
finally
weeks.
today, I was going to do the Giants, but I think we all know. They said.
I'm curious, what did they say?
They said reaction, worry. Yeah.
No.
But what were you expecting?
No.
To worry you have had to
Not
expect
a thing.
something.
Not a thing. This is what you want them to be. The worst team in the league.
Yes.
You want to be the worst team in the league. You want to be in a position that you can rid yourself of Jones. They obviously wanted to do it in this last offseason, but they weren't able to pull it off. You rid yourself of Dan Jones. You move on another way with Shedeur Sanders or Quinn Ewers or whoever at the quarterback position out of college, and you move on and you pair him with Malik Neighbors, and it's a new era with the Giants. If this wouldn't be worrisome, this would be, yeah, we did it right. Opposite.
Okay. The New York Football Jets, then, in our final minute here.
Give it to me.
Lose to the Niners 32-19. The reaction, worry. A rusty Aaron Rodgers and the struggle of an offense that generated 266 yards and just 13 points until Tyrod Taylor directed a touchdown in garbage time. Weren't even the most concerning elements of the Jets' loss. It was how poorly the defense performed.
The Niners are really good, and they make people look bad.
The Niners are really good. They make people look bad. Jets didn't play that bad. They were in it for the first half, and they're a play here, a play there. You cannot chase San Francisco, okay, unless you have Mahomes. You can't. So if you get behind on them, they will bludgeon you to death, and that's what they did. And they got behind, and they had to chase the game. They'll figure. I'm not worried about the Jets. I still think I thought Rodgers was pretty damn sharp. It's odd he didn't throw to the right side.
Throw the ball to the right side. You got to.
Which was weird.
Very odd.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a choice or just the way it worked out, but to not throw one ball to the right side is a little interesting.
0.
Yeah. It was a fun week 1.
Yeah. And that is thing or not
the
a
best.
thing.
NFL's great.
It is. It's very, very good. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. I joined Ken and Gerard tonight, 7 to 8, University Hospital's Cleveland Browns Radio Network, the Browns preview show. Jordan Hicks, play-by-play voice. Andrew Siciliano joined the guys to preview Sunday's matchup in Jacksonville.
I love that it's a first Friday. Also, real quick, if you notice the nice hoodie I got on, little
looks
red
great.
Vanley, very comfortable. Shout out to my guy Brendan. They've got good stuff. There's no doubt about it. It's very, very good stuff.
They do?
Very comfortable.
Comfortable.
Very comfortable. I got the shorts on.
Where do you guys what was his name?
Who?
Your buddy?
Brendan.
Brendan, I don't have any red Vanley on.
Yes, you do. Well, you're going
I will.
to.
Perhaps I will.
I will tomorrow. I have to bring it in for you.
Are you guys Ponte Vedra? Where do you guys stay down there?
We are staying at. Yes.
Yeah, I thought maybe that would be the case. You'd be.
It's going to be one big tease.
Little TPC.
It's going to be a tease. No, I think we're like there.
Yeah.
I'll just look at it and say.
We get out there. What time? Come on. Little Twilight?
They get to the hotel around 5.
Twilight round?
1 minute.
Little Twilight.
Who gets hard? Give me some sticks out of the. I mean, it's
fine. Let me get
it's TPC.
Just let me take a wedge to 17 and hit some shots on 17.
You haven't done that?
I have. I played there once before.
Okay, yes.
In 2014 when we played the Jags with the great Sasha Brown.
Get out there. Get yourself a Twilight round. Little 9.
Yeah.
Little 9 till the
Be
sun
nice.
goes down. That's a win. That's a win. There you go. Enjoy your first Friday, kids. Make sure you act accordingly. The next level is coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.